Social media is changing all the time. The algorithms are updating and every platform has its nuance. And so today we kind of wanted to talk and reset the best practices for social media, because if you're doing the same thing you were doing 2 years ago, your content's probably not performing at the same level.
Welcome back to Med Creator 101, the go-to podcast for HCPs on all things social. I'm Mimi Banks, founder of MB Social, and I'm here as always with my co-host, Dr. Dustin Portela, board-certified dermatologist, dermfluencer, and I would say moonlight actor.
Yeah, I need to get back on set. I've been missing it.
I know we need another SNL gig at least.
Yeah.
Before we dive into today's topic, we actually have some exciting, cool news. Med Creator has over 100,000 downloads.
That's incredible. I mean, we just started this really about a year ago and already 100,000 downloads. It just speaks to the need for this kind of content. And hopefully we've seen some people really benefit from the content. And if you have found this content helpful, shoot us a message. Give us a little testimonial on Instagram at MedCreator101. We'd love to hear from you. But we know you guys are listening. We appreciate the downloads, the listens, and we're happy to be here supporting your content creation journey.
That's right. We would love to hear from you. What has helped you the most, who you want to hear from, and what you want to learn about. That's why we're here.
Absolutely. So today we wanted to do kind of a 2026 strategy. Social media is changing all the time. The algorithms are updating and every platform has its nuance. And so today we kind of wanted to talk and reset the best practices for social media, things you really should be keying into with your content creation in 2026. Because if you're doing the same thing you were doing 2 years ago, your content's probably not performing at the same level. So it's a continual thing where you got to keep evolving and creating and trying new things to see what sticks in social media. And that's a constant lesson that we've heard from the other creators that we've interviewed here on the podcast.
That's true, especially now the 2016 trend is in. So even Instagram wasn't even remotely the same in 2016, it's like 10 years ago, which is crazy. So the format that we're going to look at today is what should you stop doing? What should you start doing? And what are you going to double down on? So Dustin, where should we start with? What should we stop doing?
Oh, stop treating captions like an afterthought. I think when social media first started with short form video, captions were not something very many people were doing. And the data were coming out that over 70% of people were watching TikTok with sound on. And so everybody thought your videos, they're going to be heard. You don't necessarily need to do captions. But I think as short form video has penetrated every social media platform, people are consuming it on YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, Snapchat. People are doing it everywhere. And so more and more people are doing that with sound off. And I know that I do this too. If I'm on an airplane or I'm traveling or anywhere, if I see a video, I will read the captions. And if the video with the captions is particularly captivating, I'll save it and I'll go back and watch it later with the sound.
Really?
Yeah. But if there's no captions and there's not anything on the screen that really engages me, I'm just scrolling by. And so captions, I think, are essential in 2026. And there's so many apps that make adding captions to your video very easy if you're editing in another app, or even right inside TikTok, inside Instagram, you can just click a button and it will add all the captions for you.
Yeah, that's great. And speaking of captions, captions also help your videos rank. So people are using TikTok and Instagram like a search engine. I know when I go to look up how-to videos, it used to only be YouTube. Now it's TikTok. You go to TikTok, you go to Instagram. And so they are indexing videos and content by keywords. So this is actually great news for HCPs because people aren't always just scrolling, but they're looking for hormonal acne routine, retinol purge, how to treat melasma. So both Instagram and TikTok are actually indexing your content based on that on-screen text Dustin was talking about with the closed captions, what you say out loud, so what's in the video, your actual caption. And then they look at engagement signals like watch time, saves, shares. So you can see when someone's searching, your video has more of a chance to show up if you have those keywords or you're thinking about your social media like a search channel.
Yeah. When you upload a video, every video is completely scrubbed by AI. It looks at everything that's in and on your video. And so just putting any text on screen is going to be a signal that the AI reads and helps to index your video so that when somebody does search, they know what your video is about. So I think it's critical. You absolutely must be doing captions. And it's so easy. There's really no reason not to.
Great. One more thing that I would stop doing. This used to be my pet peeve with the repost app, but stop reposting with watermarks. The platform now kind of penalizes you if you upload content like a TikTok video, for example, to Instagram. It knows and it's triggered. Make sure you have clean content. Whatever platform that you're uploading on, they just want original, clean upload. So even if you're repurposing your content, just export it without the watermark.
Yeah, 100%. And the Instagram CEO, Adam, recently came out and actually said this very thing on an Instagram post, that it doesn't matter what app you use to edit. You can use CapCut, you can use Instagram edits, you can use InShot, you can do it on a desktop. He said that Instagram does not care what you edit on. It doesn't change the reach of your video. But he did expressly say that if you have a watermark on your video from another platform, it is a penalty against you. You're less likely to get good reach on your video.
So interesting how they do that. It's so interesting.
The other thing I think you need to be aware of is that you need to stop ignoring sends and shares. So, this is one of the highest value signals that the platform uses in the algorithm to determine if your content is valuable. And a lot of people will use a call to action in their video, which is usually just follow me for more of whatever this genre of content is. But it can be a very effective call to action to say, send this video to a friend who could use the information too. Because when the Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whenever they see that a video is being shared frequently, it tells it that this is valuable content and people are staying in the app and they're sending this to other people and pulling other people into the app to see this. So we're going to continue to recommend this video. So a follow is a great signal, but sends or shares of that are also incredibly valuable signals. And I've had some videos where the number of likes and comments that I got were not huge just based on the type of content it was, but it got tons of shares and the video kept going. And so I got a lot of views, a lot of shares, but the likes and the comments were not necessarily overwhelming. And I can tell from that when I look at the analytics that it's really the sends, the shares, where people are DMing that particular video to others that is driving the views on that particular video.
Yeah, because people want to either they're going to send it to their friend, oh, this made me think of you, or they're going to say, this is so me. It's a restaurant. Okay, we should go there. It's news. Have you seen this? Or this is communicating exactly what I'm feeling right now. So, how can you elicit those specific feelings in the content that you're creating?
Absolutely agree to that. So many things that we could cover with like what to stop doing. And we've talked about a lot of them, but there's also a lot of things that you really should start doing when you're on social media nowadays. And one of those is adding the keywords in your hook or at some point in your video. Again, to kind of reiterate what you said, anything that you say in the video gets indexed by the AI, anything you put on screen. So making sure you get specific keywords in your video, not in an artificial way. Have you seen those videos of the weatherman who gets people to send him words off social media, Mimi?
Oh my God, no. Tell me about this.
So he's quite a big social media guy, but he's a weatherman. He does a lot of dancing videos, but people will send him songs or words, and he's got to work that into his weather broadcast for the day. And it's really funny how he works it in.
Oh, I love this.
But if you know that that's what he's doing, you're like, yeah, that was kind of forced. And you don't want your keywords to feel forced. If you're scripting your videos, make it appear naturally in something that you're talking about, but you don't want to like have a video and then just like acne, melasma, like, it should be natural so that it flows with the content. But you really want to make sure that you're getting the keywords in as many places as you can, including how you speak them.
So let's give an example here. So instead of saying, let's talk about skincare, how would you rephrase it? The first thing that I also want to think about that you mentioned is the hook. So when you are creating content, content really is about storytelling. People are creating episodic series right now where it's content to look forward to. And a lot of those are because they have very compelling hooks. So the hook is going to also draw someone in, keep them engaged in theory. And so you want to pepper that with keywords too, right?
Right. It can be very helpful to do that. Essentially, you want somebody to know in the first 3 seconds of your video, is this video for me? If you say, let's talk skincare, it's so broad that there will be people that will watch it because they're interested in skincare. Maybe they can see that you're a doctor because you're wearing a white coat or you've got scrubs on. But I almost never start my videos with like, I'm a dermatologist and then talk about the topic. I try to just portray that I have medical expertise by either wearing scrubs or a white coat. And so if you want to make a video specifically for an audience, you might say like, here's how to treat hormonal acne if you're already on a retinol, because that really presents who this video is for and what problem you're trying to solve for the audience that the content is relevant for.
And then if I could send it to my friend that I know has hormonal acne, I can save it for myself if I have hormonal acne. And then I know specifically that you're talking to me.
Exactly. What problem are you trying to solve and who are you trying to solve it for can be a great way to start a video if you can craft a hook. And if you know what you want to talk about, but you're not sure, is this a compelling hook? Chat GPT is great. Say, I'm going to make a video about hormonal acne, how to treat it if you're already on retinol. Give me 5 examples of compelling hooks that will capture a viewer for short form video. And it will create 5 hooks for you. And whether you use one of those specifically or not, or you get inspiration from that, so that you can frame it in a way that is natural to the way that you speak. The AI platforms are really good to help you craft an engaging hook.
That's true. I would actually say start using AI to help find efficiencies. Start using them to look to see if you're in a rut. Start with ChatGPT, give it an example, just like Dustin mentioned, and think about how can it help you in your daily workflow.
Yeah, I would say absolutely start using AI. And if I can make a plug for a program that I use, Mimi, I use a program called Poppy AI. And this is something that you can use ChatGPT, it can use Claude, whatever your preferred AI is, it plugs into most of them. But this is a really good way to help create content that matches your voice and style because you can take this AI and plug in your best performing videos. You can also plug in videos that performed really well from other creators and say, I want to make videos that do this kind of numbers. And then you can tell it what kind of videos that you want to make. And it takes all of that information from creators that are killing it out there, from the content that you make. It can even give you feedback on how you can do better. And we can have a link to Poppy in the podcast show notes for this episode. But if you're not sure which AI platform you want to use, I think as a creator, using Poppy is fantastic.
That's great. And what is the outcome then? So if you're going to plug all of this information in, then what do you get?
So you can get it to do whatever you want. If you just say, I want you to give me 10 real ideas or TikTok ideas, or I want you to write the full script for a TikTok video that matches my tone of voice based on these videos that I've already given you, it can do that for you. So it depends on how much you want it to do, but it's incredibly versatile.
That's amazing. So, speaking of tools, let's talk about Reels. There's a few cool things that people should start doing if they're not already doing with Reels that actually Adam, the head of Instagram, mentioned. The first feature that we actually at MB Social are using a lot is trial Reels. So, essentially, trial Reels is Instagram's way of reaching new audiences. So, it's letting you test content without committing it to your main feed. So they're primarily showed to non followers, which means you're getting feedback in theory from people who don't already know you or follow you. That could be very useful. So you upload it in the same way you would upload a reel, but you select trial reels. For HCPs, this is great because it allows you to test how your educational content lands without worrying about confusing existing audience or cluttering your grid.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to be using trial reels in 2026. The tool is there. We all know that when a platform rolls out a new tool, it's going to be to your advantage to try it out and use it. And trial reels give you kind of a safe space to go out and try new things without really messing up your reach on your regular content. And it's only shown to people they're not following you. Maybe they've seen a video of yours before, but in many cases they haven't. And so I would take your best performing videos from the last 6 months, re-download them and upload them as trial reels, because that's going to bring in new people that have not seen your content and hopefully make them followers. And you can look at the analytics for every trial reel and see what the views are and see how many new followers you got from each reel. And then if you create new content, and maybe it's a little different than what you traditionally do, and you put it as a trial reel, if it's doing really well after 4 or 5 days, you can add it to your main feed and it can kind of roll in with the rest of your content. So they've made that tool available, and I think everybody needs to be using it. I've tried it out a number of times. I probably need to make more use of it. That's a 2026 resolution for me. And I've seen good results from trial reels.
You just gave me such a good idea. I wonder what happens if you repost something on trial reels a few times. Like if you try it or space it out, I wonder what the analytics would look like.
Yeah, that's a good question, and not something that I've tried, so I don't have any insight into that. But I think the platforms do know if you upload the same video. I think it's generally a good idea to tweak it a little bit, or at the very least, republish it from an editing app so it gets a different watermark. So it'll have a little different metadata, so it won't immediately think that, hey, you've already done this one. We don't care about it.
Good call. And what about the length of reels?
So I think generally most people probably don't need to be posting the long reels. Although you can post up to 3-minute reels now. I think if you're going to venture into that territory, this is where scripting becomes a little bit more important, or if you're already just a really strong storyteller, because you're asking to captivate people's attention for a longer period of time. And if you're rambling and rambling and rambling, you're going to lose people. And I saw an example of this recently of a doctor who had posted something. They were I think, a naturopathic physician or a chiropractor, and they were taking forever to get to the point. And I wanted to scroll away, but it had a ton of likes on it. It had a ton of comments. It had a ton of shares. And I even looked at some of the comments. I'm like, people that I follow have commented on this. So I waited it out. Actually, I still scrolled away before it was all the way over. I got the gist of it, but I could tell I didn't want to follow this person. If this is their kind of content where they're going to post long videos and they take forever to get to the point, I'm not captivated. But I do follow other people who sometimes post very long content, but they're very engaging. Their storytelling is very good, and it makes it worthwhile to stick with those videos. So if you have something that you are passionate about and you can tell a good story with it or keep people's attention, if not, you script it out so that you can keep that flow, then I think it's worth trying out. If you don't do long content, put it on trial reels first and see how it does there. But it's something that for most people, this is my opinion, most people aren't going to keep attention for 3 minutes in a world of short attention spans.
Well, no, unless they're really committed. And that's where we're coming back to that series style content. So that helps you in terms of planning. You know the format. The audience starts to become familiar with you. They recognize it, they trust it, they come back for it. That's when you have something that clicks and that works. Dustin, you do a little bit of this.
I do sometimes. Yeah, I still do sometimes. And the videos do fairly well. I've been pretty happy with my longer videos in most cases because when I do a longer video, it's usually something I'm fired up about. And I think the emotion comes through to my followers. And I let them know what this video is about in the very beginning. And then I may have to contextualize it with a little bit of a backstory, but I'm very cognizant of the details that I include, that I'm not rambling. And the general rule for any content, whether it's a feature movie, whether it's a short reel, if you can get the same message across faster, you should do it faster. And so sometimes I'll do it fast, but it'll still take me a minute and a half. But I'm not going to create a video about how to use, acne medication and just fill time with it just because I can.
Smart. And what about when you decide to create some sort of episodic format or a series? How have you thought about that?
So I usually will then go and find what are people asking about, and then how can I implement this into a series. The one that I did more recently, I called it Skin School, and I was teaching people, all right, if you're using this, you should know how it works. So right at the beginning of the video, they knew it was going to be about skincare or something to do with skin health. I did like, if you're using a retinol, you should know how it works. If you're getting a laser treatment, you should know how it works. If you're using salicylic acid, you should know how it works. So that contextualized the video right in the beginning. And then they knew they were sitting down and it said Skin School on the screen. So that was the way that I approached the series. And it was all because these were things people had been asking me about. And I found a format that I could include it in called Skin School, where people knew, like, all right, hey, this is our lesson for today. And the videos did quite well.
Amazing. So, for our last section, we want to talk about what you should double down on and what to lean into all year. Something that is very close to my heart, personally and professionally, community. Community is at the heart of everything that we do at MB Social, but it also should be the heart of everything that you do as a creator.
I think that community is becoming increasingly important on social media. When TikTok first started out, you could just post videos and it was almost guaranteed that like 60% of your videos were going to get 100,000 views in the early days. It was very easy. You were reaching new people all the time. People were signing up for TikTok. It was the number one app store for months and months. Nowadays, user adoption is very high. Almost everybody's on social media, one or more platforms. And with AI slop content, as people are calling it, more and more AI content coming out where you're not connected with the creator. I think there's a huge opportunity for creators that want to be authentic and build community. And there's a number of ways that you can do that. You can have inside jokes. You can't start with an inside joke when you have no followers, but as you continue to speak to your community, they're going to start to learn little quirks that you have or phrases or different things like that. So you're building community by familiarity. And maybe you're building community around the things you're for, but also, as we learned about from Erica Millette, sometimes it can be building a community around things that you're against, because people often are a little more rabid going after things that they're all against at the same time. It's just a psychological trick that you can make use of as a creator. But the more that you can listen to your community, that you can respond to comments, that you can be answering DM messages when appropriate, I think that that helps to foster what feels like a more real relationship with your followers. They're going to be there to back you up. They're going to be there to watch your content, to like it, to share it, because they feel a connection with you. But it takes real effort from a creator to foster that connection.
That's true. I will say that Dr. Heather Rogers does a great job of this. Her content is mostly about an AMA, Ask Me Anything. And she gets hundreds of questions and she goes through and she is about educating and answering the questions. And so even from like a content perspective that gives you ideas, your patients are your community. Brands, your community. They're your followers, your community. So how can you tap into your community? At some points, if I'm looking at social content, I'm there for the comments. Like the comment section can be gold. People start talking to each other. You're right, they have inside jokes. They talk about what they're for, what they're against, or they're just riffing on some part of the content. And people have very, very, very witty humor.
Yeah, sometimes I'll see a video come up from somebody I've never followed, and I'm like, why am I seeing this video? And it doesn't even make sense. But then I'll look at the comments and I'm like, oh, it's because of the comments, because Instagram knows that these are my people and I can jump in and be a part of the jokes and things like that. And then sometimes I'm finding a new creator that I'm like, this guy or this gal is hilarious and I want to follow them and I want to be a part of this community because of the people that are in it. And so I think that's very important. Dr. Idris is another one that does this really well. She hasn't been on the podcast yet, but she's got a great community that started long ago with her Pillow Talk Derm series. So there's really good examples out there of people that have fostered community, and they really come across as being genuine, authentic, and caring for their audience.
Because I think that's who they are intrinsically. I know that we presented a lot of different ideas today. I know that there are some things that maybe you can stop doing. Choose one thing to start doing and commit to it and see if you can do it and let us know how it goes.
Yeah, there's a lot of different goals you could set for yourself. If you've got the basics, the foundation on there, stretch a little bit. Do something that's out of your comfort zone, whether that's more community building, really getting into trial reels, but we'd love to be there along the way to continue to support you in your success on social media. That's what we're all about here with MedCreator. And we've been so thankful that you have joined us for this journey too.
Super thankful, super grateful. We're excited to hear about all your success in 2026. And if you found this episode helpful, speaking of community, speaking of content that resonates, please share it with a friend. Tell them about MedCreator. Drop us a line at MedCreator101 on Instagram or leave us a 5-star review.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.